Welcome to Silver Lining Podcast, live broadcast 1st of March as we count down towards the trial for getting justice for Charles Vallow. I think we're all united in that. I know the ones that are here are because I recognize the names in chat for all of us. We love this community. Welcome here with us, and welcome to those of you that are watching the recording after this. We're going to start off hearing from Adam because Adam was contacted by the prosecutors of the case, and he had some discussions with them. I know y'all will be interested in that. And of course, we're ready to talk about the case. We want to remind ourselves, you notice by the title of this podcast, that this is about getting justice for Charles. There's so much focus on Lori because she's defending herself. It's very unique. I think it's good for entertainment, but I'm not part of this community for the entertainment. I'm part of it to get justice for the victims, for Tylee, JJ, Tammy, Charles. Brandon's a victim. There's so many victims, but of course, those people in particular. But let's start off, Adam. If you would, tell us about your interaction with the prosecutors and what you can talk about, what you can't talk about here in the live. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for you.
Well, first, I know the last podcast, people were saying that I was echoing. So if I'm still echoing, I moved myself into my closet. If you can tell, this is not a comfortable situation for me. Is it echoing?
I don't hear an echo, but eventually, Adam, you're going to have to come out of the closet. People are wondering.
Well, this is the only room that's enclosed in my apartment. So I was thinking if it's in my apartment, then maybe that's why. But yes, I got called. I met with the prosecution attorney, and we just talked about being a witness in the case against Lori. I was hoping not to get called. You've heard me talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I relayed the message to them that I would rather not do this, but that's not going to work out. So, it will be different. Since I haven't been to any of the courts before. I know Rex has made his he's went to court in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be different to be on the stand during this, and then also, looking at Lori for the first time live. Like, I haven't seen her in, I don't know how many years has it been, 4 or 5 years? I don't know. It seems forever. And then knowing that she has an opportunity to ask me questions, which I don't think that she would, but who knows? I mean, we're dealing with somebody who, doesn't have all the playing cards. So,
are you saying her elevator doesn't make it to the top floor?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I'm nervous about it a little bit, just about being in front of, but I'm also okay because I'm going to be asked questions to tell what happened, the day that, Charles got shot, what I knew and what the plan was and all these things for me to come and try to help Charles. And the bizarre, that Alex wasn't, at home when I was supposed to be at his house, and like all those things that are red flags all the way through. But who knows what will happen in court. But I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking about what that's going to be like. And if Lori asks me questions, how I'm going to respond to it, if that even goes down.
Yeah, we'll all be, I don't even know the right description, but we'll all be cautiously optimistic and hoping you don't have to deal with too much of that. But I know in talking with you, you aren't afraid of that. You aren't that concerned about actually interacting with her in court.
No, I mean, obviously she, I know that she's not the same Lori that I knew. I don't know. She's definitely has changed. probably all three aspects: mentally, spiritually, and physically. I'm sure she's definitely a changed person in all three of those categories. So I don't know what I'm going to get, but I don't really, there's nothing she could say that would make me nervous or ask me any questions that I wouldn't be able to answer. So I'm going in there with confidence to be able to say what I know and what happened, to me, and what happened to what I know, what happened to Charles and all those things. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, the questions that are asked to me, and then also the questions that, if Lori has any, she asks me.
Mm-hmm. Most everyone knows this, but there may be a few that don't. Tell us about the very last time you talked with Lori, because that was maybe 6 years ago now. Someone said 6 years since this all started. It's 2019, so yeah, 6 years ago.
Yeah. We were at Lori's for a family get together, and everybody was there. And we were in the kitchen, and Lori had come up to me and talked to me, and we were just chit chatting about different stuff. And then she had just popped out and said, well, I don't have to eat anymore. And if somebody shot me with a bullet, it would go right through me. I'm translating into a celestial being. And I'm like, huh? And I said, what? She goes, yeah, I'm gonna be a celestial being. I'm almost through the process. Like, that alone was like, red flags. And I was like, Lori, that first of all, I know that's not true. And then she looked at me and she goes, you think I'm crazy, don't you? And I was like, I don't know if you're crazy, but what you're telling me is not true. And then she just walked away. And me and Lori, our whole lives, had always had huge, long conversations, in-depth conversations, laughed, like a great brother-sister relationship. And so when that happened, that was bizarre. And then she just stopped talking to me. So that was the last time I talked to Lori.
That was a little bit like the last time I talked with Alex. I know you texted back and forth with him up until the evening before he shot Charles.
Right. Yeah, and I called him as well, like 5 or 6 days before, because Charles was like, okay, I'm going to get you a flight. I called Alex and said, okay, can I come stay with you? Mm-hmm. And so we talked on the phone, and we really talked about little things, like, things that are on sports or TV. And then he was going to go buy a bed because he didn't have another bed. He just moved into a new house. So he was going to go buy me a mattress so I could sleep on it. Had all these plans. And so then 5 days when I got there, I never heard from him.
And, you and Alex were close. Alex and I were close. The last time I saw him was a couple months before that, when I was in town. And he walked in the room. I was at Janice's, and he was there. He walked in the room, and usually I get up, we yuck it up, meaning we just start joking right away. We hug and everything. I got to hug him, and he was a different person. It's like I almost wasn't there. He acknowledged me, but just cold. And I thought, wonder what's on his mind.
Yeah, what's going on in his life?
Yeah. And it was just like that. And you noticed the big change, Adam, tell us about from 1 week to another. 1 week when he was laughing at Lori and zombies and all that. That was around that same time. Tell us about that too, as a reminder.
Yeah, Alex, me and Alex had talked. And during this whole process, Alex had been listening to these podcasts, and I've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. Lori had Alex listening to these podcasts, and he would, start telling me about these podcasts and how great they are, and I needed to listen to them. And obviously, Lori before all this had told me to read all these books, and every time that I talked to Lori after that, during this whole transition period of them changing, I obviously had never read any of the books they recommended or listened to any of the podcasts they recommended. They were disappointed every time they asked me, oh, did you read this book? Did you listen to this podcast? So Alex started listening to this podcast, and then we were talking, and he was laughing. He's like, well, Lori said that, Charles is no longer Charles. There's a guy named Ned something that's living inside of him, that his soul, his spirit is gone. and a zombie's spirit moved in.
then
And we were just laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, that is the most ridiculous thing. And then like 2 weeks later, when I talked to Al after that, then I was like, oh my gosh, does Lori still think that Charles, Ned is inside Charles or something? And he goes, no, he really is. That's real. And I was like, what? He's an inch shorter physically. I was just hearing all these things. I was like, what? I thought I was getting punked. I was like, okay, where's the cameras? But he bought all in. I mean, Lori and Chad or whoever, they convinced him. And so he was at one moment laughing at it all. Next moment, he was all in.
And so after Charles was killed, you didn't have any more interaction with Alex.
No.
And you were relieved to not have any more interaction.
Well, I was scared for my life after that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what their plan was. I didn't know. But I knew that they killed Charles. There's no other way. There's no self-defense that in my mind would have happened like that.
And having had the relationship with Alex, even though there was that definite change that I mentioned, trying to find out what happened to Charles, I heard so many different versions of the story. From Janice, and Janice is recounting Tylee's and what was in the news. And I thought I'd give Alex a call because I thought, well, at least Alex will probably talk with me. I didn't have a way to contact Lori before that, so I hadn't gotten involved in all this. But I thought I'd hear it straight from Alex, but he was in Colombia. And so I didn't get to talk to him. So the last time I talked to him was that day he came through and was just, visibly, your countenance, I guess people call it, was just changed. So that was it. So that catches us up to the critical and very, very tragic time. All of us loved Charles. We knew that this divorce was going on. We knew it was bad. What I knew was mostly through Janice. However, I did receive the emails from Charles that I believe, well, many people in the family received the emails as he was reaching out, trying to make sense of it, get some help, get a listening ear, get to someone that could influence Lori. That wasn't me. I wasn't in contact with Lori. I didn't have a way to contact her. I asked Janice about contacting her. Janice had been cut off from Lori, didn't have a way to contact her. And so I hadn't got any more involved. But then as soon as, like you, Adam, as soon as I heard that Alex killed Charles in self-defense, I just said no. And you and I didn't talk for about a week or two after that. I think I gave you a call or we saw each other in the gym, one of the two, and found out that you and I were of the exact same thinking on that.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the backdrop we're going into this situation with. Let's look at some of our comments. Again, our community is so loving and so good. These are very. I've been watching the comments in the chat. Very loving comments, Adam. A lot of support, especially about you having to deal with what you'll have to deal with, whatever that is in the court situation. Let's start with Joetta's right away. Joetta Bryant, and I'll still read these. Not for those of you that are watching. I know you can read, but again, we have many people that just listen to the podcast, so. I'll try to pronounce the names correctly. Joetta Bryant says, "Happy Saturday from Southern Colorado. Always happy to see you guys, and likewise, Joetta. Tell me what your thoughts are in this upcoming Dateline episode with Lori." You and I haven't talked about that, Adam, because I only saw that today. Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah. Apparently, she recorded some episode with Dateline. They're going to air it on Friday. That's all I know. I just don't know why she would do that. I mean, none of it makes sense to me.
Well, we don't know why she's making everyone go through the trial, and we don't know why she's chosen to represent herself. So
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me,
Right.
but it still doesn't make nothing ever makes sense. And anytime we ever try to make sense of any of this, anytime somebody goes, well, why would Lori do this? Or why would Lori do this? I'm like, none of it makes sense. So you can't even ask why, because we're dealing with somebody who's, in La La Land.
Mm-hmm. And even people that are in touch with her, like Janice, they don't have an explanation for why she's doing things. Lori doesn't communicate that, at least not in a rational way that normal thinking people can understand. We just don't get what goes on in a mentally ill, criminal, evil mind.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Talarico, love that name, says, this is her first live. Welcome, Elizabeth, to your first live. You guys are so wholesome. Love listening to your perspectives. Thank you very much. That's just, I started that one, Adam, to bring it up just because that's a good flavor of the many positive comments we get from this wonderful, wonderful community that we're a part of. Chalita Tippin says, are y'all going to watch the Dateline interview with Keith Morrison and Lori this Friday? We haven't talked about it, Adam. Are you going to watch? I'll probably watch.
Friday night, I have to work.
I thought you were going to say you have a hot date.
What time is it at?
I don't know, but I'm sure you can catch the highlights afterwards if you don't.
You can always watch it afterwards. I work Friday nights till like 10 o'clock, so probably not going to watch it live or whenever they show it.
Should we maybe do a live the next day and just give everyone the chance to talk about it here?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good idea because I'm sure we're all going to want to have a say on it.
Yeah, why don't we do that next Saturday? Let's do another live, same time, just for some consistency.
Okay.
4:30 Mountain Time. We'll do another live and talk about that. Very good. Tommy Zawa. Don't think I've seen that name. That's a cool name. Adam, you're still unhappy over Charles' death?
Still unhappy about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
there's days that go by that I think about Tylee and JJ. There's days that I think just about Charles, and there's different days that I think about different people, and but yeah, Charles, that's so upsetting to me. It's very upsetting to me what happened to him.
We all loved Charles and felt close to him, even if you weren't like close. Like I didn't see him all the time. I didn't talk to him like Adam didn't text all the time. But when you see him, you just love him. You want to talk to him. You want to hear him. You want to hear what's going on. You want to hear his very opinionated perspective because it's fun.
Yes.
Fun to listen to him. So
yeah, everyone
is still unhappy over Charles' death. I think everyone in the family.
Yeah.
Suze says, we love you, Adam, and are here to support you through prayers and thoughts.
Thank you so much. I again, like Rex said, we appreciate everybody who's been super kind to us, pray for us, and all the comments and all the support that you've given us. Even how long have we been doing this podcast? A year and a half or something like that, coming up on 2 years in June or something.
2 years in June.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've gotten so much support and we're grateful for it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for all that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And we're planning on continuing the podcast through the trials here. And hopefully we can reciprocate some of that support to people. Because there'll be some people that are just getting into the story and into it, and it's horrifying and it's terrible, and it takes healing no matter who you are. Definitely if you're close to them, but even if you aren't, people tend to emotionally adopt the victims, and it's tragic. So this is a good place for healing and support for that situation. Nancy Morales says, I imagine it would be hard to testify in a sibling's trial for murder. I'm fairly close. I can't even imagine it. I'm so sorry that you have to go through this emotionally. I know you've gained wisdom. I think she's saying you're old, Adam. I know you've gained wisdom and strength to do the right thing.
Well, I feel like I'm in a way better place than I was a year ago.
Definitely.
And 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, and 4 years ago. So I'm continuing to, yeah. If I would have had to go to a court, 4 years ago or 3 years ago or even 2 years ago, I think I would just be a disaster.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough on anyone, I think. Alicia donated a $5 super sticker. That's so generous, Alicia. Thank you.
Yes, Alicia.
And I'm going to take this note to add a sad note, because the money, there is a little expense in doing the podcast. We pay Sean still. Sean's has been a good member of our team. If you remember, those of you that weren't here when we started, Adam and I both lived in St. George, and we'd go into a studio called a podcast studio. And Sean was basically a member of the team. He was there. He is a technician there. It was his studio. Wonderful studio, very professional. Not quite like our situation now.
Me sitting in my closet so the audio won't echo, and it's still echoing. I just got a text. Are you still doing that?
But Sean sadly is giving up his podcasting, and so he has still helped us technically to broadcast the podcast all over Podbeam, which gets it to the 16 or so platforms, and he does something with the sound. We don't know what. Hopefully we'll get it figured out, because he's going to be ending that in his life. He's stepping away from podcasting. He runs a radio station for our local university here in St. George, Dixie Tech.
Not Dixie. They changed the name. Utah Tech.
Yes, Utah Tech University. That's it. Some people are now trying to get it back, that the mood in the country has changed a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But thank you, Alicia. And the money that's left over goes into a nonprofit. And so far is sitting there. Once in a while we donate, like we've donated several times to various causes that people we've had on the show. So we try to be good stewards of that. Thank you. Vicky Moidy. Sorry, Vicky, if I didn't pronounce that right. How would you say it, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about her interview with Dateline?
What's that?
What do you think about Lori's interview with Dateline? The fact that she's going to do one.
It's It is surprising, because she's been so, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want cameras in the court. But maybe she's at a point, and I thought she would get to a breaking point. Maybe she's at a point now where she wants to get her agenda out, or whatever she wants to let people know about her, or whatever that is. Maybe this is her moment to get all that out. That's stuff that maybe she's not going to be able to say in court.
Mm-hmm.
So you might hear some crazy stuff.
Yeah, the only thing we've heard really is her what she said in court so far. Of course, it's limited and going to remain to be limited. So this will be and we heard what she said to Colby, and I don't know. It's hard to hear what she said today, just knowing that she's putting Colby and Janice and Summer and you, Adam, and people closest to her through things she doesn't have to. And that I have a hard time finding silver linings in anything she says for that particular reason. So I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to commit to myself to watch it all if it's too heavy or too triggering for me. And I'll confess, I think I've done a lot of healing, but I wouldn't say that I'm can tolerate everything. So, if I think I can't handle it, I'll bail.
I think the weird part is, and I asked the attorney, district attorney, if Lori just said, "Look, I'm guilty. Let's not do this court thing," would it be able to just drop immediately, and then that would be it? She goes, "Yes," and I pray that happens. Right? Everybody wants that to happen. But then Lori, I think her side is saying that they're not allowing her to do that. But you can't believe anything Lori says. That's the problem.
Yeah, but because it's not up to them to allow her to do that.
Right.
She could do it just like she's representing herself.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
she's in charge of her case.
So even things that she says or tells, people doesn't make sense. Just like her stories about all the things that she talks about, none of it makes sense because nothing fits. Like she's trying to come up story that doesn't exist, but it doesn't even come close to fitting the facts.
Yeah.
Everything's way out in left field.
Exactly. Lee T asks, "Is Janice doing okay, Adam?"
I've said this 100 times. For what she's been through, she's doing amazing. What she's been through, but I mean, she has been just taken to the shed a few times. So she's okay. Yes, she is okay, but she's just been through a lot, and it's amazing to me that she is still walking and eating and just doing normal things.
And yeah, I had the same perspective. I started answering this question differently. I say, of course she's not doing okay.
Right.
Given what she's gone through, you can't go through that and be okay. But sometimes you wouldn't know it by being around her. She's always been a positive person.
You want to talk about somebody who's an optimist? She is the biggest optimist there is.
Yeah.
She's always optimistic about things, always.
And very positive and loving. And people in the family, Ben said it once, Ben Connor, another one of my nephews, Adam's cousin, said it so well. He said, the Coxes in our family, everyone loves going to the Coxes because that's where all the love was. And that's where all the positive energy was. You walk in and Janice goes over the top, and Lori and Summerwood too, go over the top of how great you look, how wonderful you are, how brilliant you are. And, they were exaggerating to some degree, but who doesn't love hearing it?
Yeah.
And so is she doing okay? Yeah, because a residual of that remains, but good grief. With what she's gone through, I don't see how anyone could be doing okay, but that's a very, very loving and thoughtful, kind question, Lee T.
Yes, thank you.
Judy House says, I know it will be really hard, Adam. We'll be praying for you.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you for all the prayers and all the support, everything that everybody has mentioned. I love it. I'm definitely going to need everything, all the support and prayers I can get.
True that. Alicia says, I just hope all the people left in the wake of Lori's madness. That's a good description, Alicia. The wake of Lori's madness can finally get some well-deserved peace and healing. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Stella Luna, 88. Could this interview be used against Lori? Meaning that I'm sure the Keith Morrison, the Dateline interview. How is she able to discuss everything right before the trial?
So who knows what questions were asked? Who knows what she's going to say? Who knows if that's going to sway how people, how the prosecutors, try to give evidence against her. Obviously, when you're in court, sometimes a lot of people say, don't talk to anybody, don't say anything, don't do anything, all that. She's doing everything opposite.
Yeah. So could it be used against her? I guess if she confessed.
Or maybe she says something and slips up and says something. Who knows what they could use against her? But yeah, definitely, I think it could be.
Yeah, and we're okay with that.
And we can discuss it next Saturday and see what she says. That if somebody catches something that none of the rest of us catch or something like that, that's why it's good to talk about it.
And from Leah R. or Leah, I think, sending love and support from Israel. Thank you. Right back at you, and it's good to hear from you.
And where?
From Israel.
Oh, yeah.
We hadn't heard for a while, and when someone lives in or right next to a war zone, you're worried when you haven't heard about them for a while. So good to see that you're with us here, Leah. Eat the food, Tina. We remember that name.
Yes.
And I think she has a llama or an alpaca as a as their thumbnail there. I wonder if Netflix will create another documentary after Lori's last two trials are over. So much has happened since Sins of Our Mother.
Yeah, it's interesting about TV shows and, producers and streamers. It might take them a few years to get that going, but yes, I'm sure that somebody will try to make another documentary or another maybe a made. I remember there was a made for TV movie, and it was on a small TV station like the ID channel or something like that. I can't remember. And they used these actors and they tried to portray from what they knew. And this was like 2 or 3 years ago, I think, right? When that TV show came out or that movie came out. Yeah. They had some guy portrayed to be Alex that looked very scary. I mean, it was like watching it was very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but obviously, yes, if people are interested in true crime, which so many people are interested in true crime, they may decide after the Lori Charles thing, because really the Idaho thing was all about Lori and the kids.
Right. And there'll be more intrigue coming out of these trials, we think, or...
Yeah. Well, no, Tammy's trial's over too, and so you can throw in Tammy and Chad together and do a documentary if they want to do that.
You bet. Kathy Somerville. Welcome, Kathy. Hey, Adam, how's the new digs? Hi, Rex. Nice to see you guys. How are the new digs, Adam?
I like my digs. I'm actually in the closet right now. I just remembered that I bought a vacuum, and there's a vacuum in here, which means I haven't vacuumed my bedroom or the closet. I only have 2 rooms with carpet, the closet and the bedroom. And I think I've only used my vacuum one time. I'm just looking at it right now. I was like, oh yeah, I have a vacuum.
That's how you remember you have to go in the closet to do a podcast to remember you got a vacuum.
Yeah. But yeah, I love living here. I think it's super nice. I like the location. I live in a 55 and over community. And the funny thing about that is when I first moved here, I was moving in, and the people that are here, I think the average age is like 75. So they're like, you moving somebody in? I was like, yeah, me. And they're like, you can't live here. They're like, yes, I can. The thing I love about it, it's super quiet. It's secured. You can't, the gates are locked. I have a hot tub all to myself. Nobody goes to the pool, the hot tub, or the gym. I got this is like my own resort by myself. I'm always doing things and nobody is ever around. And it's super close to my work. And so I love it. It's super quiet. I don't have to worry about, kids crying or people fighting or somebody trying to break into your car or any of those things. I need as much peace as I can. So I think people think it's so odd that you move into a 55 and over community. I was like, yes. And it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, he's not doing it for the chicks. I tell you, I visited Adam about 6 p.m. Not late. It was dark. Okay. Yeah. I did not see another human resident
the whole time.
Place. I mean, he showed me around, showed me all the features that he just talked about. There is not another living soul moving.
Nobody comes out of their room. They all stay in their apartments. It's amazing.
That was funny. Lee T, maybe, this is talking about Lori. Maybe she just wants to meet Keith. He is a celebrity, so maybe Keith Morrison, I think it is.
Yeah, I remember when Keith Morrison called me and left me 4 voice messages, and I listened to that voice. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the guy." And I don't watch. Rex knows I don't watch Dateline or true crime. But when I was married, my ex-wife watched Dateline religiously before she went to bed. Like many of you women that for somehow you guys feel good about watching true crime before you go to sleep. I don't know how you do it. But that voice, me going to sleep, listening to that voice, and then him calling my phone a bunch, leaving messages. Then I called and had a conversation with him. He seems to be a nice guy. Don't know anything about him, but obviously this case would be he's definitely involved in it or wants to be involved in it.
Yeah, they've been following it all along, as many have. And, we appreciate that. Just to remind everyone, to me, it was intriguing about the people right there around when Charles got killed, and the family, the people that knew about it. And then Brandon got shot at, especially Brandon's group. Someone from Brandon's group went on a podcast and said they were all scared to death, not knowing where Alex would show up next, who was going to be shot, killed. And apparently people wouldn't even go to work that worked with Brandon, because someone could come to Alex could show up and start shooting people at work. That was the fear. There's so much fear until the media started paying attention to the story. And that kind of took the pressure off, because now the spotlight's on it. And you just aren't concerned as much about people in the shadows just going around doing what they were doing. So that was real insightful for me. So we're very grateful for the media, the law enforcement, yes, but the media for making it so public and caring about it. Edie Ruth, I read that Colby will appear on Dateline as well. I hope what she says won't interfere with jury selection. Could this be her motivation to get back at the judge for all his denials? Could be. I mean,
wow, that's a good thought. I didn't even think about that, but that actually makes sense. If that's what really is happening, that's definitely something that could be behind it.
Yeah, if people say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this case. I just watched Lori a month ago on Dateline."
Believe it or not, I've run into several people that have never even heard about this case, which is great.
In the Phoenix area.
In the Phoenix area, and this was all over the news here. All this stuff happened. So, yeah, it's interesting. There are people who do not watch TV. There's people who don't pay attention to the news. Those are the people.
Don Starkman is reflecting a thought I think many of us have. Thank you for that, Don. How can they let Lori go on any TV venue is mind-boggling. She just refuses to go away, ever. The prison system needs to put her in the bowels of a prison, and she should never be heard from again. And amen. Amen, Don. That reminded me also here in Utah, we had that horrible situation. What was it, about a year ago, I think, with Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. And our family is on the periphery of that also. We've had family members that were hurt by that situation. And that came up this last week or two. For some reason, the family members are speaking, or something made it come up again. And I thought, how wonderful that they just chose to plead guilty, and we didn't have it long drawn out like this Lori and Chad thing is.
Yeah.
It's just great that they are put away. And a reminder like this is still traumatic for our family members that were hurt by that situation. It's best just not to hear about it again. So we're all looking forward to that day, Don. Thanks for voicing what many of us feel. Now, of course, we have this huge silver lining from this story, and that is this wonderful community. So as long as you have to take a tragedy you don't have any control over if Lori will just plead guilty or not, at least there's some silver linings to it. So we're really grateful for that. Diane L. asked, when will Ben be on again?
Adam, good question. Where is Benny Fufu?
Do you even know where Ben is?
Well, Ben's back and forth. He was in Portugal and he's back here. So I don't know. I don't know where he's at right now.
They had to come back. I was trying to figure it out from Alice's. I guess I could just call him.
Stalking her Facebook. Hey, are you guys in Portugal? Are you home? Where are you?
Well, with Portugal, if you want to live there, you have to go there and visit and then come back to your country of origin and then go back again. And so they were in that process. And, you know, this side of the family just doesn't talk a lot. So even if we get a hold of Ben, it'll just be a few words. So I'll give Alice a call after
Right.
the podcast here and see where they are.
But I did love having Ben on the show when he was on. I learned so much. I mean, he was amazing.
He is brilliant in that field and just can explain things so real and so clearly. So we love that. And we can have him on even if he's in Portugal.
Yeah.
Of course. So of course, we've only been coming on once a month the last few months. So haven't had too many guests, but we will get back to that. Teresa Warner. Adam, did the prosecution tell you not to watch anything or research anything else on Lori in the upcoming trial?
No.
Any guidance at all from them?
No, not really. She just said, we're going to ask you questions. And, she sent me the log between me and Charles of our text conversations. And she said she's going to ask me some of those. And I said, great. Like, again, I have nothing to hide. I'm not scared about answering any questions. I know what all happened, and how it went down. I know some people get things confused with timeline or what was said or why things were said or all that stuff. So, and I've learned to live with that. The people that can say I'm conspiring or whatever, that they're just idiots. They don't understand the timeline or what happened, or they want to have an agenda of something. So, unless you know the timeline and why I would say certain things and these kind of things, then I used to get upset about it. Now I just go, you're just an idiot, and that's it. That's my therapy.
See, and we have the advantage of not knowing the timeline in the first place, so we don't pretend to remember it.
Right.
We knew the timeline. That's funny. Elizabeth Talarico. I could say that with a flip tongue. I'm not quite getting it. Elizabeth Talarico. It's going to be hard to hear because she's throwing innocent people under the bus, defaming them, spewing lies on a global stage. Well, good description.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you can count on the spewing lies part of it. That's just going to be frustrating, and we can just prepare for that. I'll remind y'all of my youngest daughter, who was my daughter. All my daughters were close to Lori, but the youngest probably the closest because she is her nanny. Her attitude is so healthy. I think I've been trying to adopt it. She said, my expectations are so low of Lori, what she says, what comes out of her mouth, what she does, that nothing's going to surprise me and I'm not going to care about any of it. So I thought, very healthy. Good.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. Everybody's going to do what's best for them. Some people may not watch at all because they're going to be so upset at what she says. Other people are like, oh, I can't wait to hear what she has to say. So everybody has their own vision of how they want to handle all this, the people that are involved in this.
Ana Franco says, this reminds me when John Pryor slipped and said in court that Tammy was murdered. That's a good slip. I hope truth seeps through. Lies have spread. Truth has endurance.
Right. I agree.
Yep. And we just want to live by that, with that hope, don't we? Trish asks, are you both in Arizona? I am not. Adam is.
Yeah.
I'll be there next week, though, Adam.
Oh, you will?
Not this coming week. The week after.
After that.
In fact,
I'll try to pencil you in my schedule. You need a pickleball lesson?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I do.
Someday I'll be able to move laterally again, and we'll need that.
At least we can go to the gym and shoot baskets.
We can do that. Shady Land, our friend Shady Land, speaking of Arizona.
Oh, yeah, I like her a lot.
It's so good to see you guys and catch a live. Love and hugs always. Justice for Charles. That's our rally cry. Justice for Charles.
Yeah.
Trish says, can everything she says be used against her? Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You mean in court? Anything you say can and will be used against you in court of law?
Yeah.
Yeah, she could slip up a lot.
And being where she's at, who knows what she's going to say? But yeah, she definitely could slip up.
Yeah, and Trish follows that with, really, do you think Lori would be smart enough to think about the jury? Yeah, I think she's smart enough to play to the jury because that's what she's doing. And maybe that's why she's doing it. Maybe this is all entertainment for her. I don't know. Um, but I think she'll play to the jury. She plays to people. That's what she does in manipulating them. So I imagine that's my guess. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I just feel like she has in her brain, she has a agenda to do this Dateline thing. Now, is it smart? No. Are we talking about somebody who's smart? No. Are we talking about somebody who's got a full deck? No. The problem is like with Lori, we're dealing with somebody who's not in her right mind. So nothing is going to ever make sense.
Mm-hmm. Good point. That's one thing we're pretty confident about. Patty G says Lori just wants attention. She's loving the limelight, probably handing out autographs in prison. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, our friend Kimberly Bell, Jury Duty Podcast. Again, we want to
Kimberly.
Yeah, want to encourage everyone to watch Jury Duty Podcast. All right, Adam, but seriously, if there's another cringe made-for-TV movie, we know Rex is Statham. Thank you, Kimberly B. I've had a lot worse celebrity lookalikes than Jason Statham, my wife's favorite. That's why Kimberly said that. She knows Lisa. Who plays you, Adam?
Oh, there is a new Jason Statham movie coming out that looks good.
Yeah,
that looks good. Yeah. What actor would play me in a movie about Lori's life?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe who's the guy? Jason Rico Suave. What's the guy from Ozark? What's his name? Jason
what name?
Bateman. Jason Bateman.
Oh, Jason Bateman.
Maybe. Somebody said that. And then somebody said Dennis Quaid, but Dennis Quaid is way older than me now.
Wait, Lisa's weighing in.
Maybe Vince Vaughn. I don't know. Rex's daughters think that I'm like Vince Vaughn because of the way I talk. But who knows? I don't know what actor they would use.
Okay, Lisa was voting Jason Statham for you. She didn't know Kimberly. Oh, Jason Bateman.
Bateman, yeah.
Yeah.
That might work. Who knows? Who knows if there's even going to be another movie? Do people really want to watch it?
These are such first world problems.
Yes.
Carmela Migliore. Love that name. I knew people in Italy named Migliore, which means it's close to meaning better.
Oh.
I'm just so upset that your family didn't support Adam when he is trying to reach out and tell them his concerns about Lori. That is still very upsetting. I mean, that's part of I don't think the family is going to go back to being the same as it was before. And that's part of that dynamic, I think. You know, we all know what we have believed, what we now believe. We don't know what we will believe after the trial, but you know, you don't forget some of that stuff.
Yeah, part of my healing is, you know, forgiving my family and trying to have a relationship with them. But again, you know, that left a really big mark for me, and just trying to just always constantly trying to understand it. And I always feel like I'm still on the out. I'm trying to get back in kind of thing. But that's my own personal things that I have to work on, I guess. But yeah, that was tough. That was probably one of the hardest things ever. And having to deal with, you know, Charles is dying, and then once they found the kids, then they believed me. Mm-hmm. Once the kids were found, that's when they believed me. That was the day the kids were found. It was like, oh, Adam was right.
That's when they admitted that they believed you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all that time when the kids were missing and Charles is dead, that whole time they cut me off. And so that was a very dark time for me. because I was going through a divorce and it was bad. That part of my life was, when I talk about that in our book, when Rex and I wrote our book, that I would talk about that time. It was dark, and I've never been depressed. I've never been a depressed person. I've always been happy and fun and outgoing and all that. But during that time, I was a different person, and I just couldn't even recognize myself during that time. So that took a lot out of me. So hopefully, and I said, people are like, well, you're never going to be, I said, I just want to be back to my normal self, how I used to be. People are like, well, you'll never get there. You're going to be somebody different, and you're going to use that as a, stepping stone to go forward. But I don't know. I guess it's part of therapy.
I guess. Well, Carmela Migliore, thanks for that insight. We all are. And if you ever lived in Ragusa, Italy, let me know, because we knew some people, two young ladies, Carmela and Silvana.
You have such a good memory, Rex. That was like, what, 50 years ago?
That's like 100 years ago. It was almost 50
years ago. That's what I'm saying.
I was there. That was a very memorable time of life, though, when you're in a little town in Sicily.
Yeah.
NF Mom, I wonder how much she's being paid to do this interview. I don't think she's being paid.
Yeah, they don't pay people that TV. They don't pay anybody. Nobody gets paid to do interviews. It's just
right.
It's ethical. There's an ethical thing.
Well, and I think there are laws against prisoners making money off their crimes.
But even people that are on Dateline and people that are on 2020 and all that, they can't pay you any money because it's unethical. So, but people go on there to tell their side of the story just so they can get that out if it's a big story like this, just to get people to hear what they have to say.
All right, let me welcome a special guest.
Hi. Lisa.
Haven't seen you guys for a while. Just wanted to say hi.
Yes.
It's good to see you.
What are you doing, Lisa?
Just hanging out.
She's listening to the podcast, so I can hear the simulcast here.
Is that my echo?
In my ear.
Yeah, I'm echoing on hers.
I just want to say hi to everybody. It's been a while.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
Are you still on the Facebook page?
Yeah, not super active. I need to get on there. Every time I do, it's so fun to see everybody.
Good.
So,
I know you are good posting and commenting on people's posts.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen off, but I just heard him mention Kimberly. Wanted to say hi to Kimberly and Lindsay and all the old gang.
Wait, is Kimberly still doing our Facebook? Kimberly, did you drop us? Kimberly, did you drop us for your new podcast? How dare you?
No, she's still doing it, and I check in every once in a while, and everything is likable on that.
Yeah,
that's great.
Podcast. People are just so good, and there's so many great, great posts.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
Thanks for stepping in, babe.
You're welcome.
You gorgeous girl. All right. Elizabeth Talarico. God love Charles for trying to get an intervention going. He tried so hard. He really did. He was really doing everything he could. Thank you, Adam, for supporting Charles through this trying time, through his trying time.
Yeah. We just both felt helpless.
Yeah. Let's see. MJC with Carrie Lynn. Okay. Well, any friend of Carrie Lynn is a friend of ours, so welcome, MJC.
Yes.
A funny name. I just feel sorry for you, Adam, that she will be playing attorney. Having to testify is going to be hard enough, but having her question makes it harder for no reason.
Do you really think Lori's going to ask questions to any of the witnesses that they're going to bring on? Do you really think she's going to be a defense attorney, or do you think she's just going to sit there and let things just roll?
I think she's going to ask.
You do?
The only reason I do it, and we're wildly speculating, I don't have a clue, but
Yeah.
She is getting into this role. You can tell by her appearances, in the hearings she's had. She's doing this interview. She's role playing. She's getting into it. So I think she'll get into the trial and play it. And I don't know what's going on in her heart and mind, but maybe this is entertainment for her.
Wow.
All she's got. So yeah, she may give it what she's got. It's just infuriating for me. So I cringe when I say that. I cringe having that thought even.
Yeah.
Trish says, why do you think she's not wanting cameras in court? Isn't that one of the motions coming up? Yeah, that surprised me because everyone is of the opinion, including me, that she likes the limelight. Any thoughts on that one, Adam?
It's odd that she doesn't want cameras in there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense that she would go on TV but doesn't want cameras in there. Because if you're looking for attention and you want attention, you would want all the cameras in as possible because you're starving for attention. But if you're not wanting cameras in there, that takes that whole thing out that she wants attention. But then you going on Dateline, are you back to attention or are you back to are you trying to do something that will, sway the jury? Like you're trying to think in her brain what's going on. It's so messed up. I can't even keep track of what she's doing.
Yeah, and clearly we don't even have access to her, so we don't know. So Kimberly says, I think Lori plans to play lawyer based on these hearings so far. So yeah, Kimberly and I.
But playing lawyer is one thing, but then cross-examining witnesses, like who knows what witnesses are going to be called, and are these are all people that Lori knows? Do you think Lori's going to feel confident asking questions of things that are against her?
I think she'll pretend to be confident.
Interesting.
There is cross-examining and there is calling her own witnesses. She can call witnesses too. So
true. Yep.
We'll see how that goes.
What if she calls Chad and Chad has to get out of jail?
Yeah, I don't think she can call him.
Oh.
I think there's someone mentioned some restriction to getting him off death row for this. So Missy said, yes, Lori will ask lots of questions. It's her bet. We have a pool going now.
Okay. I'm on the pool that she's not going to ask very many questions.
Okay. What are the odds on that? We'll have to get the odds makers going. Missy, yeah. That's your job.
Is this going to be in Vegas?
Yeah. It's close enough. Glowing Ember says, I think Lori will pull the curtains back on Zulema, Melanie Gibb, etc., to get back on them. Possibility. I mean, she could call them as witnesses. I doubt she would if she were really playing a lawyer because they probably know too much and it opens them up to cross-examination. And the prosecution is not playing lawyer. They are real lawyers with a real case and would probably love that opportunity to cross-examine them. I don't know if they're going to call them as witnesses because, well, what do you think, Adam?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't even imagine what's going through Lori's head because now there's so many things that are contradicting what makes sense to me that she's doing these other things. So I'm not sure what she's going to do at all. Like I'm perplexed.
Perplexed. Wow. Okay.
You like that word?
Yeah.
I almost said complexed.
Well, you're that too.
I'm so complexed.
Alicia says, do you think the interview will nix her ability to get cameras out of the trial? I don't know. I don't know that that's related. But
I don't think so.
But thanks for asking. Angie Lapine says, and this is our last starred comment, I think Lori is testing the judge when it comes to cameras. She's trying to figure out how much pull she's got. And so far,
0.
She ain't got much.
Right. Yeah. She can't bat her eyes at the judge and get what she wants.
Yeah, Jewel Gazer agrees with that. Jewel Gazer says judge won't put up with her for long. So, Adam, we've been on about an hour. That's our normal time. It's so wonderful to check in with our peeps again. And
we'll do it again Saturday after we watch the Friday night. Maybe when I get off work, I can watch it somewhere. Do you think it'll be on TV somewhere?
I do think it'll be on TV wherever Dateline is sold. What's that, NBC?
Yeah, but on the web, like later, not watching it on TV.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to catch it on there too. If not, just join us in our live, and we'll fill you in.
I can learn everything on the podcast like normal.
Exactly. Well, come to think of it, I don't even have TV, so where am I going to watch it?
You got to go to someone's house.
Yeah, we'll get that figured out. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We love you. We love being part of this community. Thank you for being part of the community. Final word, Adam.
Thank you for your thoughts and prayers, and have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you back here on next Saturday.